Eric Keller here, Enthusiast Auto Group. Today we're at EAG Super Secret Warehouse number 1, and we're going to be talking not about this really interesting red M1 that's right in front of you, or any of these other new faces that are inside the Super Secret Warehouse today. That's going to be for a different feature video on each of those special cars. But we're going to talk about the E24 M635CSi. We have a rare opportunity, something I've never seen done before, where we're going to chronicle each of the 3 different body style shapes relative to the bumpers and some of the aesthetic changes that took place through the production years from 85 to 89. But we're also going to look at 3 different markets of cars, from a Euro spec car to a Canadian spec and a North American US specification car, because they're all very different and there are pluses and minuses to each of those variants. And I've never seen somebody do this before, so I figured, why not EAG? We've got the cars, we're in the building, we've got a bunch of other cool cars to share with you. And so here we are doing just that. So without further ado, we're going to jump in, take a couple laps around these M6s. If you're interested in any of these cars, they all 3, actually 4, technically we have 5, are available. And I also wanted to just preface, we've got some really cool videos in the pipeline. I've been very busy making a whole lot of content. I haven't had the time or chance to edit it. If you're great at editing and love doing car stuff, you could probably reach out to us there too. I'm still doing all of it myself. We've got an E34 M5 wagon, a super special car. You're going to see that car driving in anger. Of course, this M1, part of the San Francisco collection, this M3 GTS Plus.
Nice. A little pre-fall color tour. Lime rock that isn't quite a lime rock.
So we had how many lime rocks?
3 now.
And you bought the first one new?
Yeah, brand new.
And well, tell me what you think about this one compared to that one.
This thing is quite an animal. Holy cow. I don't usually grab the handle, but for this kind of drive, yeah, it's kind of required. Like that drive we had in my lightweight, Eric, right?
Well, the funny thing is that I have to ask you which one.
Here we go again.
We've got a very special PTG race car back there that is mind-blowing. You've seen the sneak peek, the first look of the carbon S2 Dynan E39 M5. A lot of really great stuff in the pipeline. Do subscribe to get these first looks and first opportunities to see this stuff before it hits our website, before it hits any of the major marketing media. We have a lot of cars. Almost half of what we have right now is not on the website, and so you're gonna have to pick up the phone, get to know us, and we'd love to partner you with the right EAG BMW that you can use and enjoy. So let's go take a lap around these E24 M635CSi, or the M6 as they're known here to us US enthusiasts, and we're certainly going to have a lot of fun. Before, though, I wanted to take a moment and let everybody know that EAG is hiring again. We have hired a couple more people, and we are looking to add some more members of the EAG pit crew. We are looking for some technicians, some guys that love working with their hands. If you have a very fond affection for preserving the past in order to enjoy these cars in the future, well, we're looking to bring somebody in more at an entry-level spot to help prepare the cars for the photography and wheels, tires, a lot of the small details of interior trim items, and just all the small little stuff we call the extra mile services that aren't quite as heavy duty on the skill set side yet, but we're going to build up to that and want to obviously train somebody to learn the EAG way as we go forward and grow, hire them to retire them, as I say. So if you're interested, do drop us a line, shoot me a call, a text, or an email. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Certainly looking to add some more bright, smiling faces to our growing family. This is going to be an epic one take, and bear with me. Hopefully I don't trip over too many words or cars. And you're probably sitting here wondering, that is a really unique color on an M1. It certainly is, and it is a really fantastic driver's car that really is kind of the birth of M as a brand, not necessarily as a concept. And I'd like to kind of go through the warehouse here real quick and kind of flash each of the M6s we're going to talk about, and then come back and talk specifically about each of the attributes and the differences between the platforms. If you see any cars here as we're going through that you think would be an interesting talking point, certainly do reach out and drop us a line. We can certainly have that conversation. There is no shortage of really cool cars to capture and make some fun videos to share with you than what's in these two buildings, rooms I should say. And it all kind of started with, you know, the first M-car, Paul Rocher, the famous BMW engine engineer, camshaft Paulie as he was referred to. Most people associate him with building the M88 as kind of his swan song, but you know, really he actually started with the 503 and 507 camshaft design, and went on to build the McLaren F1 engine, the S70/2, and the M88, the S14, etc. Every car in this room has a direct mechanical and engineering relationship and descendant to camshaft Paulie. And you know, the M6 was certainly the GT, the gentleman's coupe, the beautiful successor to the E9. Arguably, you know, sorry, Mr. Pete Gleason and all of your buddies, you know, this could certainly give the E9 a run for its money for BMW's most beautiful coupe ever built. And a lot of you guys out there certainly would argue the E9 is, and it's a beautiful car too. And I would say they're both actually gorgeous in their own respect. And so the first car that we're going to talk about is the 88 black on black Canadian spec M6 that has a whopping 14,700 kilometers. It's about 9,000 miles. Very rare to have black interior. You won't see that on a US black equipped car. And then speaking of really low mileage cars, a repeat visitor, no different than the black, as well as this Bronzit 5,000 mile car that EAG has already placed in one great enthusiast home several years ago, and this arguably is the finest example, at least surviving today, probably in North America. I've never seen or known of one finer as a short bumper Euro car. Off to the next room here, we will go to the next M6 variant, which is going to be a large bumper car, another new addition to the EAG collection. Really cool car. We're going to have a really cool video about that car and how it came in kind of smuggled into the States as a Euro spec car. Again, a thin bumper car like the Euro M635CSi. You know, the M6 badges were used for the North American cars to fall in line with the M5 and the M3 lines. And this Lachs Silver is one of just 21. Again, a repeat visitor. You're going to catch a common theme in this room. And it is a 34,000 mile car that we sold to a stunt car driver, actually. Really great guy, Brett, in Southern California. You've seen him in some pretty amazing movies, Ford, Ferrari, all kinds of cool stuff. And really great guy, become a very good friend over the years. And he owned this car for quite a few years and traded it in on a E34 M5 Touring. Again, we'll come back to this car and discuss the differences between it as a Canadian spec. Another repeat visitor, 30,000 mile E28 M5. That car is available. And speaking of low mileage, it's a 5,000 mile M Coupe, and you probably recognize this 9,000 mile Sterling M5 that it's sold. Both of these cars have sold. This car's sold as well. Just waiting for the new garages to be built for these enthusiasts, and EAG does offer some storage solutions for those that could benefit from it. One of 7 Dakar yellow E31s built 850 CSI, super rare car. Yes, I park these cars very close and do it myself to make sure they're safe. Another repeat visitor, 9,000 mile E39 M5, a Mola red. Another, this one's a first time visitor, 79,000 mile E28 M5 and a 43,000 mile E28 M5 that's not yet on the market. An 850 CSI, another Euro spec car. Congratulations to Chris out in Colorado. I'm going to actually drive this car back up to EAG HQ today and start our final rounds of quality control and vetting, and we've updated the car with a set of Euro spec staggered M parallel wheels to preserve the BBS style 5s. This is a really fantastic car that certainly is very, very notable in its market. And then quite a rare color, again, royal blue, and this is an 88 US spec M5. Again, the rest of world bumpers, the shorter 2.5 mile an hour bumpers. We'll come back and look a little closer at that. This is, again, a repeat visitor, third time through. 92,000 miles. You'll see this car on the website under the E28 M5 listings. That's where we've got the E24s lumped. And that car is priced at $75,000. That car has a history file that will shatter just about anybody's expectations of what documentation looks like. There's 44 oil changes on file for that M6. The original copy's not a summary report like a lot of the cars will have. Again, really a cool little E21 sports seat, Euro AC car, limited slip diff, one owner, mega low mileage. Again, lots of cool stuff in the EAG collection to come and share with you here soon. PTG wide body, delivery mileage lightweight, etc. So certainly we're living the dream. Sometimes we do have to pinch ourselves, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to have these cool cars to share with you. And speaking of, do stay tuned, because I'm going to throw some snippets of the driving videos of those two cars in towards the end.
Yes, please.
So Canadian spec. This car was sourced out of Western Canada. It is a rest of world bumper, shorter bumper, 2.5 mile an hour car. The Canadian spec cars differed from the United States cars in the following ways. They were not equipped with the rear air conditioning system, so it'll have the 2 bucket seats in the rear, similar to the Euro spec car. It's going to be a big weight savings difference between them. The car has a half-line interior both in 87 and in 88. That's going to mean it's going to have a fabric headliner. It's going to have a fabric rear parcel shelf. You won't see this on a lot of the literature in the interwebs. And it's got a vinyl dash. It will not have the leather shrinkage that spits those center vents out that you'll see on the 87 US spec cars. Those leather dashes do shrink quite a bit. And it's going to have the leather center, or sorry, the vinyl center console as opposed to leather. A lot of little things that have a bit of a weight savings nature to them, of course, being a metric car in Canadian trim. A little bit more universally importable for the European enthusiasts, and the E24 market certainly has been stronger in Europe compared to the United States over the years, but it's certainly starting to even itself out. It is wearing a set of 17-inch Alpina genuine wheels to replace the original metric wheels. They're still wearing the original tires. Those come with the car, as does a brand new full-length exhaust system, new in the box. This car was acquired in 2015 and sold to quite a prominent collector, actually the South Carolina collector, as I've dubbed him in some recent videos. We bought this car back as part of a 5-car collection. And here at 9,000 miles, it's a #1 car that certainly is going to impress any and everybody that come in contact with it. We've got a great service history file there in the binder, and the car is never wanted for anything. It's been serviced to the 9. It's an all original car by all measures. The undercarriage is just amazingly clean, as you'd come to expect from a company like ours. The Bronzit, we'll come to the engine bays between these two in a second. Oh, and the spoiler, check this out. This is a 2-piece spoiler. That's another difference. I mean, I could do this for days. The Euro spec car with the slimmer line bumpers. The Euro spec cars were about, well, I think 200 pounds or so less weight. You're going to notice the front and rear arches on the fender flares. These are bolt-on flares to the standard Carmen bodied E24 platform where they're molded in on the later cars. Not a lot of people will notice that difference, but it certainly is notable when you are sitting here in the room with two of them right next to each other. You'll note the U.S. conversion lights for this car being a DOT registered car and imported the legal way. And it's a one-piece rear spoiler on the back. And it just says M on the badge, not M6. Again, carpet on the rear parcel shelf with the speaker pods. They're nice and flat. Always look at these to make sure they're not warping and twisting. That's going to be a really obvious sign of sun and heat exposure. Same with these, the door handle gaskets. This is a litmus test of how much exposure, heat the car's had, even if it's been in the warehouse. If there's a big 20, 30, 40 degree temperature variance and a humidity variance throughout the course of just one day, that can make a huge difference in the preservation of the car and how they survive. This is the Nutria Buffalo interior. It doesn't get really any more natural looking than that. Again, it's going to be vinyl dash. It's the rear twin bucket seats in the back. I'll go over to this side to not have the buzzer reminding us that the key is in the ignition. But I mean, just that interior is so period and so cool. And look really close to the stitching. I don't have a light, a good light with me, but it's got the kind of white stitching there in the middle that's still nice and full and bright. And you know, this car's got a really great history, having well, pleased quite a few enthusiasts over the years, being maintained by BMW North America while in the Zentra Museum for a good old decade in South Carolina. Other Euro spec differences mainly are going to come down to the technical side on the drivetrain. This is an M88 powered engine. Or car, sorry, same engine as in the M1. It's a little bit hopped up versus the 277 output that the M1s were rated at. These are rated at 286. The big obvious notable difference is going to be on the other side here. The valve cover is going to just say M Power. You'll see, as they're referred to as the ball of snakes, a header setup that would feed typically into a resonator, into the standard muffler, which would be the same between both platforms. This car is, well, it's just remarkably nice. If you've not seen the video going over this car and the very, very close call that thankfully this whole front end is still the way that it is and was built a whopping 35 years ago, well, that was a very exciting moment driving this car, but thankfully all systems work flawlessly, and we're here to talk about it in its original form still. Let me undo the release here on the Canadian spec 88, and you'll notice the difference. It always helps if you pull in the center of the hood, kind of like a 2002, as opposed to the side, so you don't torque it and twist it like I was just doing, which it was catching here on the one side. If you would try to lift it from one side, there's not necessarily something wrong other than the user just not knowing the difference. You'll see all the cosmoline just strewn about. You know, you can't synthesize that stuff. It is only original once, and well, when it's preserved well and lived in the right climates, they certainly can sustain an original condition, as I'm showing you here today. And now the valve cover you're going to notice is a bit different. It says BMW M Power. And this is a 256 output. The big change, they went from a 10.5 compression on the M88 to a 9.8 compression on the S38B35. The cams were also changed. I think they went from a 276 cam to a 248 degree camshaft. I think they did them in pairs. We'd have to ask Powell, good old camshaft Paul, to explain the difference and why that matters relative to the outputs. Of course, the exhaust and emission systems, like this charcoal canister too, will have some impact, knowing that it's a U.S. and Canadian requirement from the emission standpoint. But pretty easy to open these cars up with a chip and a little bit of exhaust work. This car does have a muffler on it, which certainly gives it that throat and growl that this engine certainly is capable of. And again, you'll hear that firsthand with these screamers. I actually took the white car on track a bit myself, and it's just an amazing experience. Going over to the Canadian spec car, as we pass that one owner 9,000 mile M5 that's just shocking in condition. The Canadian car will have the 5-mile-an-hour bumpers, which are going to be a good 2 inches or so longer, and it was just part of our history and the DOT at the time, and safety requirements of different lower valance, and of course the black sides as opposed to the body color. Certainly just looks a little bit more period, as the rest of the E24s did throughout that super long production life cycle. 1977 was the first year, and 89 being the last year, a 12-year model run. I guess technically that'd be 13 years if you count them all out. And again, a 2-piece spoiler noted as an M6. But internally, again, BMW did note all of these as M635CSis. It's a 415 millimeter metric tire. Again, has replacement Coker sourced Michelin tires that they are a bit exciting when driving those tires at speed. You do want to make sure you got a really good date code on those things. They are the only thing touching the road, and that's what's keeping you safe and sound. Again, being a Canadian spec, it's going to be the double bucket seat as opposed to the rear air conditioning, dual air conditioning systems, with the vinyl dash being a half line. Again, the vinyl and in metric. So if somebody did want to import this car, into their market, to export it from ours, that is something that we could do. Again, checking the gaskets around the trims. These are, you just check that gasket as a litmus test on any other M6 that you're going to go out and see. And 9 out of 10 of them are going to have some cracks and deterioration. And even the really low mileage ones sometimes that we've bought have had that certainly do need changed over the years. But the ones that we have right now are still all original for the most part. The royal blue with the US spec color matched bumpers would be a good example to show you the rear seat and how that differs. Again, this is going to be a half-line interior, being an 88. It will have the leather the leather rear parcel shelf as opposed to the fabric. You can see the big console there in the rear with that lovely cooler or refrigerator that holds. Let's see, what can we fit in there? Oh, the skinny cans probably. I guess they were thinking ahead when everybody wanted to start drinking sparkling healthy drinks. The AC system has a second set of lines that actually run down the passenger side right under the floorboard there, feeding this box. Great design, great idea, great concept, borrowed obviously from the 7 Series platform that was under development at the time. Airbag. That was the other thing I guess we should have noted. The other 3 cars have the MTEC 1 steering wheel, being an 88. They went to the big 4-post airbag steering wheel from a safety improvement, as well as the larger knee bolster crash crumplers or whatever they're called. So you can see BMW's evolution and technology starting to kind of take shape and change the way that these cars look. And that's been a big thing in the media and news lately, with the new M3 and M4 coming out, and those very strong deviations from the history of the brand, as you're seeing 2 rooms full of what I'll call BMW's analog all-stars. These analog all-stars are really what have probably brought most people that are watching this video right now to the brand, and have created that love affair that we can all certainly relate to and enjoy together as car enthusiasts, as I show you a pair of brilliant RA E30 M3 Sport Evolutions, also a pair of sold cars that are awaiting their final quality control process and test drives, and the final bits of the program with a 34,000 mile 89 EAG repeat visitor. And then the Carbon Canadian. It was pretty cool to connect with the previous owner, the guy that imported this into the United States, actually through the YouTube channel. He sent us or dropped a comment. Do appreciate the comments and the videos. It's helpful to learn more and share with all of our other fellow enthusiasts, and that's kind of the community that we're hoping to build and bring everybody together. As obviously everybody watching this channel again is doing so because you love these cars just like us. And it's kind of cool to be able to show you. I'm sure I'm skipping over quite a few of the smaller little details between the M6 and the M635CSi, but I think those are the main highlights. I'll show you the 3-spoke steering wheel again, since it's kind of fresh on your memory. The 4 cars I've shown you today are currently available. If it does say sale pending on the website, you know what that means. Somebody's put their money and their name down to put their spot on that car. All 4 of these cars I've shown you today are repeat visitors. They've gone through the program before. They certainly will go through the program from head to toe again as if they never have before. Half the cars in this building and the Super Secret Warehouse number 2 and all the other facilities and where we're keeping these lovely cars, most of them have a good percentage, at least half or more, have been through the program before. And keeping these in that revolving EAG family and car collection has certainly been a great way to mitigate the risk, as these cars certainly have gone through, you know, their life cycles and the rate and risks of attrition and all the things that happen to use high performance cars over the years. It's been great to be able to keep a lot of these cars in great and loving homes so that we can, you know, preserve them for the future and show these to you in this fashion and share them with you in the driving and have you come out and do your EAG experience when you come pick up your car. We certainly welcome people to start coming back and doing that. We've been doing that a couple times here the last couple months. And it's been great to be able to meet the clients and really get the feedback firsthand. That's the best part about this, and certainly appreciate everybody tuning in and subscribing, checking out these videos. I hope you're enjoying it. A lot more really cool stuff to come. Sorry this is a bit of a long one. I could keep going for hours in this building, but try to stay a bit on topic. It's easy to get distracted with all these beautiful cars. But again, subscribe for more. Thanks for tuning in. See you.